Hello, welcome to Polaris SENDIASS. We support children, young people, and their parent carers in Hampshire, the Isle of Wight, the London boroughs of Richmond and Kingston. In this recording, we will cover what does it mean to respond to a draft plan, what are the sections of the plan, how to check your EHCP, how to respond, and finally name your preferred setting. If the local authority decide that an EHC plan is required, they will issue a draft plan. You will have 15 days to comment on the plan. You may choose to agree with the plan, you may choose to ask for changes to the plan, or you may choose to meet with the named officer to discuss the plan further. This slide looks at the sections of the plan and how they relate. There's a lot of information on this slide, so I'm going to pause for a minute and let you read it through. Key sections to check are B and F, but note that changes to section A, the parent and child's view, cannot be appealed, so therefore make sure you're happy with it. If a child has health needs that result in SEN or social care needs, then you need to check these sections too. We're going to go on to look at B and F in more detail. Sections of the plan and how they relate. B and F, then I. This is the order we need to think about when looking at the plan. Lots of people know which school they want their child to go to, and they try to work backwards. But if there's a dispute over whether or not the school is suitable, it almost always comes down to whether the child's needs are fully captured in section B, and whether the provision required to meet those needs is specified in section F. So we go B, F, then I. On this slide, we're going to talk about where to begin. Step 1. Go through all of the advice in the appendices. Highlight each need that has been identified by a professional. And then check that each of those needs appear in section B. Here is an example that's going to help us bring it to life a little more. This is Sam. This information would have been found on the child's professional reports. I'm going to stop and pause for a moment so you can have a read. This may well have come from the EP report or from school information. Now we move on to step 2, which is checking the outcomes on the EHCP. So, again, grab your highlighter, go back to those appendices, and this time highlight all of the outcomes that have been identified. Remember, an outcome is the difference made to the child. These should be personal and not generic. Then go to section E and check that all of the outcomes that you have identified appear in section E of the EHCP. Again, I'm going to pause for a moment because you will see some example outcomes for Sam written below. And now we're on to step 3. For step 3, we need to grab the highlighter again, go back to the appendices and look at the provisions that have been identified by the range of professionals. Just remember that EHC plans must specify and quantify the provisions. So for example, they must tell us how many or how much of something a child needs and how often. This is really important. Again, I'm going to stop because there are several examples below that are specific. They tell us how much the child needs and how often. How to respond within 15 days. Add comments into each section on the hub, or note all of your changes in a single document and email to your caseworker, but then say on the hub comments that this is how you have responded. Reference professional reports if something in a report has been missed, so which report and which page you are referring to. If you wish to attach a covering letter, we recommend the IPSI Model Letter 3, which you can find on Google. Name your preferred school or setting. You have a right to request any of the following types of nursery, school, or college in the EHC plan: a maintained school or nursery, an academy, an institution in the further education sector, a non-maintained special school, a Section 41 school. You can also ask the LA to consider naming an independent setting. If you do this, the LA must have regard to the general principle that pupils are to be educated in accordance with their parents' wishes, so far as that it is compatible with the provision of efficient instruction and training and the avoidance of unreasonable public expenditure. Some schools have a specialist unit or resource provision attached to them. The unit or resource base may be a separate institution, but they are often part of a mainstream school. You could check the DfE website and request accordingly. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our video. You will find so much more information on our website. Please feel free to have a look.